Does the Epstein client list matter? Well, like any good philosopher, I'm going to say the answer is both yes and no. Let me explain. Let me start with the no. Well, here's the problem. There probably isn't an Epstein client list. What makes me say that? Well, so far, there just isn't a whole lot of evidence for it. Now, you might be like, come on, we see all of these things, flight logs, there's got to be something out there. People have said that there's a client list. Pam Bondi certainly seemed to be saying that there's a client list. What makes me think that there isn't? Well, I really think it would have been released, at least in some sort of redacted form, because it's so politically advantageous to do so. In other words, imagine that you are Joe Biden and you have access to this list and Donald Trump or some other prominent conservatives are on there. Well, even if some people you know who might be harmed on your side might be hurt by it, you release it or you redact it. And the same would go for Donald Trump. Why not simply release it if it can do so much harm to the other side? Now, you might say, well, but both sides could be harmed, so both of them have been kind of hedging their bets. But again, they could redact it, they could lie about it, they could do lots of things to only damage their political opponents, but avoid damaging themselves. Now, I guess it could be true that they're kind of like in some sort of truce, but that seems like hard to believe, especially given the fact that people like Donald Trump and his conservative circle have been screaming for the release of this. So why would they suddenly decide not to just because Donald Trump's on it? Well, there's a good chance he's on flight logs. But again, if he was on it, why wouldn't the Biden administration have done it? And more importantly, if Trump knew that he would probably be on some sort of list, why would he have been screaming for the release of it for so long and stoking these conspiracy theories? So it's a lot of kind of mental gymnastics you have to do to get to that there actually is a list with someone like Donald Trump's name on it for the Epstein list. Now, why does this matter? It really does. It matters because it's starting to show a deep division that's been caused by conservatives, conservative pundits, influencers. They have loved doing everything they can to stoke conspiracy theories and conspiracy thinking amongst their base. They've taught their base to never trust anyone in power. And their hope has been, oh, don't trust anyone in power unless it's me. But that's a really hard distinction to make. Now, they've done a pretty good job. Trump has done a pretty good job of getting people to believe only him and no one else. But the problem is when he starts being in contradiction with himself, at least people kind of on the edges of the MAGAverse sort of go, well, wait a minute. You told us you think we should do this, but now you're telling us we shouldn't. And you've told us that there's a whole lot of reason why to worry about it. But now, and it gets a problem for him. So here's the thing is they're going to have to figure out real quick what they're going to do because they've created this massive group of people who's been taught that this matters, not to believe anyone in power. And now they're in power telling people it doesn't matter. So it could be a huge problem for Donald Trump and for conservatives in general.